Hey guys, in the previous video we needed to drop the skid plate on my 3rd gen Tacoma in order to change the oil. One of the machine screws on that access panel was stripped and seized on there, so today we're going to fix that so that the next go around in about 10,000 miles doesn't need to involve dropping this whole thing off. I have the skid plate removed and flipped over in my living room since the snowy weather outside is less than ideal for working on this. I'm starting out with the classic WD-40 approach to try to help free some of these screws by cleaning off the dirt and grime, and then allowing the WD-40 to work its way down the threads. My thought process being that if one of these screws is known to be seized on with a stripped head, the others might strip as well when I try to remove them. After I let the WD-40 sit and work its way down the thread's corrosion for about 10 minutes, I flipped the skid back over and gave the removal a shot with a 5mm Allen wrench. The first screw backed out without any issues, and we can see that the WD-40 worked its way about halfway down those threads. Another 2 screws backed out without issue until I finally reached the one with the stripped head. It only appeared to be partially stripped, so I tried hammering in the wrench to get it fully seated, but unfortunately I reached a point where the screw refused to budge, and I was just stripping the screw head even further. I was hoping that the WD-40 would give me the leg up that I needed to get this out, but at this point it was time to break out the specialty tools. I picked up this Speed Out Kit, which is a set of reverse threaded bits that's designed to grip the stripped screw heads and back them out. On the bottom end of the bit, there's a cutting head designed to create a round insert point for the top threaded end to grip onto. There's a set of included instructions which also describe this 2-step process. So with the cutting end of the bit ready, I sprayed a bit of WD-40 as lubricant into the head and then drilled it out. And once we had a nice engagement point, I switched it over to the threaded end and began slowly running the drill in reverse. I felt the bit grab the bolt and start to engage, but my drill didn't have enough torque to actually get this bolt out. I grabbed a pair of pliers, and with my body weight pushing down on the drill to keep it engaged, I tried to manually turn the bit to free the screw, but no luck here since the pliers would lose grip on the bit. Next, I tried adding heat to get the screw to expand and break some of that corrosion away. Unfortunately, I didn't have my blowtorch on hand, and this stinky little candle lighter definitely didn't have enough power to get things hot enough, even after about a minute under the flame. So I abandoned the heat idea, went back to the original method, and this time I tried vice grips. Surely these would be able to cinch down hard enough on that bit without spinning around it. And no. The final tool combination that worked was a crescent wrench adjusted tightly to the flat sides of the bit, with every pound of force I could put down onto that drill to prevent the bit from disengaging from the screw head below. And then this screw finally broke free. Again, we can see the WD-40 definitely made it down these threads similar to the other 3 screws, but this one put up a more serious fight, of course. At this point, I'm absolutely thrilled to have this screw out, and since I never want to deal with this issue again, I looked up the screw size and opted to replace all 4 screws by heading down to the local hardware store and searching for the M8 by 1.25 size. The 25mm length was a perfect match with the same 5mm Allen head screw. So, I took these home, cleaned out the threads on the skid plate, and grabbed some anti-seize which should prevent corrosion from binding these screws in again. Anti-seize can be pretty nasty stuff with aluminum particles suspended in a grease compound, so I'm using a glove here to apply it. I torque all 4 screws hand tight, and I stepped back to laugh at all the tools that had failed until finally getting that stuck screw out. Now outside, a couple days later on the tailgate, I'm prepping the skid plate for reinstallation under the truck. There's a bit of corrosion and dirt on the bolts that hold this up, so I'm taking a metal brush here to clean off those bolt threads the best that I can. And while I'm here, I also replaced a couple bolt retaining clips that had corroded away, and all that these do is keep the assembly in place with the metal spacer when reinstalling, so I don't have to line up multiple pieces, which can become tricky when working alone. I apply anti-seize to the mounting bolts as well. They came off without too much issue, but seeing that a little bit of corrosion has started, I didn't want to go through the same adventure next time the skid needed to be dropped off. Now underneath the truck with the skid on my knees, I raise it up and screw each bolt in hand tight. And thanks to Mr. Wraith 600 for posting some of the reference torques on a Tacoma forum, I'm able to torque everything down appropriately for all 6 bolts that hold that skid up. If you're worried about the bolts backing themselves out with vibration, you can optionally mark them with a paint pen so that you can easily see if any have started to rotate. So now that we're able to take that access panel off, the next oil change should be significantly easier and not require an entire skid plate drop.